patient. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
How's it guys? Travis from Ostrich Neck here. Well, we off to the start of a new project. So, let's get the parts out, mix them up when I was looking through the stuff. There we go, and this is my first sprue I'm going to start with. What you can do is just cut the sprue off there, and there, because this piece you don't need. Take that part, put it back in the box, and forget it exists until you need it. So the first thing I have to do is assemble, sort out the seam work. Okay, one part I don't need is that, and maybe one or two other pieces, so I'll just cut off what I need. First thing I have to do is assemble and get all these parts done, ready, coat them, paint them, and get them ready, because that I have to unfortunately install into this part first, over here. Once that is built, then I can see what I have to do inside here, prime it, then I can assemble this part. Hopefully I can mask this off nicely without having to do too much work. Once that's all done, then get to the next part, but that is for another time. Today we are going to be starting with the cockpit. So without further ado, dear Watson, let's go off to the workbench and start solving the puzzle. Be back now. Okay guys, I'm back with the beginning of the model. These are the parts that I need in this section here. I'll put my parts down and I'll look to see what I need to do the first section, which there we go, which is this over here, part 1. Then I almost had a heart attack. Over here it shows 2 steering columns and I've only got 1. Then I realized when I looked on the model parts here, let's see, where is now I've lost it. Still lost it. This one over here, it shows that there's supposed to be 2 next to each other and it's not there. So luckily for me, I went and I checked in the box and I found it. I thought I'd lost it when I opened the packet. It might have fallen out, because when I got this model it was a couple of weeks ago, just before Christmas, and I thought I'd lost that. Well, actually not weeks, a month ago already, more than a month ago. So I thought I'd lost that part, but I found it. I am so happy. Okay, so I've got to start off with the piece that broke off, its counterpart. Just turn that around, cut it off. Need that one. The base. There. Instrument panel, that one there, so that's a total of 4 parts, and then the seat. Now I'll be interested in knowing if this seat which I got in here is able to eject, because it looks pretty fancy, like something you would find on a space shuttle. When they eject, oxygen mask everything into high altitude and then down to go. So I'll be interested to know if that thing actually had a panel on the roof which with explosive bolts where it actually shoots out of, or how this plane's ejector seat actually worked. Because I mean there's no glass above your head. So I'd imagine there was some sort of hole that opens up. So there's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, looks like 8 parts to the first part of the build. The rest of this I don't need. Okay, so first part I'm going to do is I'm going to glue most of this together, put that in place, and they almost throw the part away. That's very good. I'm going to glue that part into there, but of course first I have to remove the little pieces of plastic that's left from when I cut it. Now there's 2 ways of doing it. You can take a knife and cut it away like that, and then go over it with a piece of sandpaper or a file. I'll go over it with a file now. Of course, be very careful with your blade. The blade don't care about hurting you. They are normally pretty sharp, and I've cut myself a couple of times with a blade, not paying attention to what I'm doing. Trying to keep in shot. When you're working on something, you're not paying attention to where you are on the screen. Some of these little pieces are pretty annoying. Because the nice thing to have is a set of needle files, but you must also be very careful with them. They will cut through plastic pretty easy, so if you go too hard you could do more damage than good. But the same can be said about sandpaper. Now little sanding sticks are pretty nice to use because they're pretty tough. Even though they aren't sanding sticks, what you can use is nail files, which the ladies use. That's for filing their nails. You can use that one. You get different grades, and the fine ones, and all those are nice for doing little sanding jobs and polishing and all that. So those work pretty good for model building. And I haven't found a place yet in Cartonville which sells the stuff, because I work in Cartonville, live in Forkville, but I'm not sure exactly where I can get it in Cartonville, so I haven't got any. I normally just make my own with a bit of sandpaper. But when I do find out where I can get some, I'm going to buy some there. I think it'll be cheaper just to buy the stuff, and they might last longer. So anyway, that's done. Now I've just got to sand it, the parts nice and smooth, and then I can start assembly. Be back now. Okay guys, I'm back again. This is a little tool set, file set which my friend Trevor bought me. There's different round ones, flat ones, like half moon and all sorts of different ones. These are nice for doing different shapes and stuff. But today I just need the plain old flat. Once again, just be careful with using stuff like this. It does eat up the plastic pretty easy, and you can use it to remove all sorts of unwanted stuff. But once again, just a word of caution: if you haven't used a file like this, this is pretty rough. It knocks down a piece of aluminium pretty fast, so plastic is nothing to it. As you can see, the funny way I'm holding the file gives me better grip on there, and if you hold it like that, your arm, more of your inside of your hand will get very sore. So I take it more like that. Eventually it'll get sore, but this way it doesn't get sore as fast, and your back fingers hold it nicely there, and your thumb presses down nicely on the file. Then you just got to have a good grip on your part and try to keep it as level as possible, and don't let it slip. Going too far back. There we go, that part is done. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that, so I'll be back now. Okay guys, I'm pretty happy with the parts I'm about to work on. What I do see on this part is there is a bit of a gap over there, and you can see over there. But what I have noticed, and it's always a good thing to look at the part, is there's little pieces of plastic that's sticking up. I did see it now, where there's a little piece right over there that makes it not quite level, and there's a bigger one over here, and they're not quite level there. So when the two pieces go together, this little piece over there is causing wrong place, sorry, this little piece over there, which is a little piece of plastic sticking up here, small little round piece of plastic. It's a difficult to see it for you, but I can see it perfectly right over there. So that type of thing is causing it to stand up. It's now not a part that has to go in one of these little holes. It's just a piece of plastic. So I don't know if there was supposed to be a corresponding hole on this side, because there isn't. So if there was supposed to be one, they forgot to put it in. Let's see that little knob. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is then trim that little piece of plastic off. Do it. And as you can see, the gap isn't as bad anymore. So I've managed to knock that down, and once I put the glue in and the glue melts everything nicely together, what I'm finished with is hopefully a smooth surface. So I'm not going to show you all of it. Okay. Let me zoom in on this piece. Okay, so there we go, one of the seats. Take my glue, apply the glue where I need to put it, smear it on nicely. Apply the other side, wipe my fingers clean. If you get glue that's all spilt over, try not to wipe it or anything, just leave it where it is, because when you come in you can just take a piece of sandpaper and just sand it smooth. These parts don't fit brilliantly, they do move around a bit. But these parts are going to be in the cockpit. I don't know why the camera decided to go out of focus. Let me zoom out, sorry about that. And some more. There we go. So, got that glued, and hopefully once everything's done, you won't see the seam very well. I've just got to give it a bit of a sanding, but because this will be in the cockpit itself, you won't see that well. So a little bit of a seam line, if the paint can hide it, won't be that serious. Your seam lines you want is the ones that you fix properly, or of course are the ones that are visible, and that's outside the aeroplane. So this I'm not going to be too worried about. I'll get it as cleaned up as I can. I'm not too worried about if there's a bit of a seam line. If the paint makes it dark enough that I can't see it in the plane, it's not so serious. But anyway, that's enough for now. I'm going to assemble this stuff finished, and when it's done I'll come back and show you an update on it. But the little controls is basically simple. You just take that, put some glue on and glue it in place like that. So that is pretty simple. Anybody can put a round peg in a round hole, unless you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole, and then it won't work. Enough of my stupid little jokes. We'll be back now with the other chair assembled and this section, and I'll be ready to go to paint. Be back now. Okay guys, there we go. This is the cockpit floor with the control panels. I've got the 2 flight sticks in place. Not very good with aeronautical terms what those things are actually called in real life, so I'm just calling them flight sticks. This little part over here is where your decals go on. That goes behind there, like that. But I'm not going to glue it into place straight away, because I want to still put my decal onto that part, and if I glue it in there it's going to be difficult to get the decal in. So I'm going to glue that into place afterwards. So when I put that in there, it's not going to interfere with me putting the decal in, so I'll paint that piece separate. And then of course my ejector seats, they've got to go into that part over here. I don't see any parts that I need to go into holes. Strange that there's two holes but no parts. As far as I can see, I think that goes into there like that, but I'm not 100% sure. I doubt it if it goes there, so I'm pretty sure it goes into that piece there, like that. Pretty tight fit. So I'll be painting all of that first, but right now I want my glue to dry properly, so when I sand it I don't rip the things to shreds. So that's what I've done so far, and I'll be back now when I do the paint. Be back now. Okay guys, I've decided to start on the bottom of the ship while I'm letting my glue dry properly. This section over here is the bottom of the aircraft. This section over here is the top. This piece must go onto that like that. This plane is so big that my camera is completely zoomed out. As you can see, I can't go any further out, and it takes up basically the whole shot. So these two parts now must be glued together. Then there's another piece that goes in here, but we got to clean up the seam here and get these two parts fitting nicely. See why they are not going in together nicely. As you can see, when it's supposed to be flat, it's actually bowing out a bit. So there's definitely some seam issues, something in the way. So what I must do is go around here, clean everything up and get it so when I put it down like this, it sits nicely together and goes together nicely, that there's no seams. Now, I don't know if you guys can see on this part, but there's a nice big piece of plastic there. If I take my knife like this, I'll just cut some of that seam off. There's a piece of it in my hand, so I've got to clean this edge up nicely, get it all nice and smooth, and then this piece must come together with that one and make a nice clean seam. Along like that. But as you can see, they don't want to go together very nicely, so I think this is going to take quite a bit of work to get this all nicely together. So once I'm done with this part, I'll be back to show you the assembly of it. But first, I've got to get these seams, and most probably the same on the top of this seam, nicely together. So when I put these two together, there is virtually no seam. And it looks like this one, if I put it in, is slightly warped at the back. So just got to get the two stuff together and make them so they match up nicely. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next little while, is getting this to go together nicely. So when I come back, I'll show you the progress on this part and then hopefully get to the paint. Be back now. Okay guys, I'm back. I've filed this and glued it. Unfortunately, there is still quite a bit of a gap, especially here in front. I've got to try and get that nicely glued together over here. But this seam line over here is not too serious, because this piece over here goes in like that, and then these two pieces go in there like that. So the bit of seam which you got will just be in the front, which isn't too bad. So I don't have to go through this whole seam and fill it up. It's just this little piece in front there. So if I can get that nicely glued and I can fill up the seam there, rest of that won't be a problem, because your this will go into place. Your engine's cover sits at the back here, and that blocks the inside piece here, so you won't really see that. That will go in place over here, and this wing part goes over that like that and closes that all up. But what I'm busy with is this at the moment, so I've got to try get that to stay there so I can glue that nicely. So throw some more glue in there and get that glued as possible. One other thing which I have done is you take an old paint bottle like this. Now that might look like paint in the bottom. As you can see, it's all liquidy, but it's not paint. You take offcuts from your sprue, throw it into a bottle, throw some glue in it until it goes into a type of liquid cement paste, and then you can use this on some areas like this where you're not going to have too much detail on it. You can go in, you can fill it in, and then when that's done you can just go over and sand it nice and smooth and get it all nice. This glues the part together, and of course it's a filler at the same time. So there's, I say, the way you make this, you just take your offcuts, cut little pieces, throw it in the bottle as much as you want to try and make, throw quite a bit of glue in depending on how much you want, and try and get it into the thickness you want it to be. And it's a glue and of course a filler. But as I say, be very careful where you put it, because if you get a little bit much, it is glue, so it's going to start eating the plastic around it. So put it on in places where you can file it, so you can put quite a bit on to fill the gap and to get it nice and even. Once there's a lot in, you can sand it all nicely afterwards. So that's something if you guys want to do. As I say, I'm still busy with this. When I come back, I will glue these two halves on top of that and take it from there. The painting of those other parts, I'm not in the mood to do that tonight, so that's why I'm still continuing with this. Be back now. Okay guys, I'm now going to do a bit of work on this piece, because that other piece I showed a little while ago is still busy drying. Once that's gone, then I can try sort that out a bit more. These pieces here go in that way, like that and like that, but where this goes in there, it is not quite where on this piece I must just file that a bit square, and then over here for some reason it's got 2 knobs on the plastic. This particular company that makes this model is not very well. I won't give them a very high rating on the quality of the model, even though the lines and stuff on the detail on the plastic is not too bad. The fact that none of the stuff seems to fit together properly, I would give them a very, very low rating. 10 being very good and 1 being not very good, I will only give them a 4. So I've got to get rid of these little marks. Let's go over with my file a bit here. Okay, that is gone. Saw it a few seconds ago. Now I seem to have lost it. I just need to get a piece of sandpaper. I'll be back now. Okay guys, I've got to find this piece of sandpaper so I can just sand here. And then with a finer piece of sandpaper, try to get as much of the scratches as fine as I can, because once I put my primer on, the primer should, well, basically fill up all my sanding marks. Pretty good. Now I'll just knock this little piece of plastic down and make it even. Now there are other little ones like that one inside here, but you're not going to see that, so you only have to knock down these little pieces of plastic where you're going to be able to see. And you don't want the little pieces of round plastic sticking up, because an aeroplane's hull is smooth and not got little round bumps on it, unless the bump is some sort of sensor, which I seriously doubt will be sitting right over there. So I'm just knocking it nicely down. Go over with your finger, because your finger should be able to feel if there's anything catching it. That's pretty smooth. Take my slightly rougher sandpaper. Give the whole area a good sand. Then take my very fine sandpaper. This sandpaper you can use with water. That's how you know how fine it is, because I don't have the marking on it anymore, unfortunately, so I can't say what type of sandpaper it is. That's pretty good. Okay. Well, that part's done. The next part is, if I can find my glue. Oh, that is weird. I seem to have misplaced my glue. Ah, there it is. Sorry. It was there, I just couldn't see it. Next part is getting my glue ready. And these parts. But before I do that, I don't know if you guys will be able to see nicely. Right in there is where this joint must go into there at an angle like that. But it's not a very good fit. It's quite a big gap and not sitting very well, so I just want to go in with this and try and knock that more square. Better. Okay. Alright. Of course there will be a bit of putty work most probably. Now that one's got to go in there. And this one's got to go there like that. And glue in place. Okay, so let's quickly get some glue out. Go. That's the first piece in place. Okay. Now this one's got to go into there. Like that. Okay, despite me getting that fit pretty good, there's still a bit of a gap. So once this is all done, I'm going to have to come back and glue something in there just to keep that space and then fill that gap up there too. Got some seam work to do on the inside of this. On the inside there and there, some over there and some over there of course. But that's that part for now, that's all done. The next part I've got to do is just put in this piece over here. The engines themselves, I will do that most probably at a later stage. So that's done so far. As I said, there's just some touch-up still to do, but that's that part so far. I'll be back now. Sorry guys, I bumped the camera there. Next part I'm going to do is this. I've just got a little bit of flash from the tree to take care of. This piece goes on there like that. Now once this part goes on, you don't actually get to see all this detail over here which is inside, which is actually quite a waste. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. All that in the inside there, once you put this piece on, all goes miraculously bye-bye. You can't see any of it once that's on. So once you put that cover on, you lose all that amazing detail which is inside there, which is a bit of a pity, but unfortunately that's the way it has to be built apparently. So that part goes on there like that. That seems to be an alright fit. I've just got to get my glue on and hold it in place. And there's that part done. Okay guys, I'm going to just hold this in position and let it dry a bit. Sorry, I didn't even realize I forgot to back out the camera. Ooh, wrong direction. Just glued this little part on. Sorry, I forgot to zoom the camera out. So I'm going to now just hold that a little bit in place, and when I come back I'll be gluing in the back piece but not the engine parts. Be back now. Okay guys, I'm back with this part. This is one section of the 6 engines. The other part still got to glue on top of this, and this part goes into the aircraft. Just got to get it in the right place. Doesn't want to cooperate. Isn't that typical? Well guys, that's it for this video. Now I said I was going to do the paint, but I realized that this video is getting a little bit on the long side, so I'll show you the painting of the cockpit and the assembly of that in the next video. The bottom half of the aircraft is coming together alright so far. I've got some filling done. I was still busy showing you how to put that back piece in, and when I realized the battery had gone flat. So that's already installed, but I'll show you that in the next video, what I've done there. So until the next video, thanks for watching and happy modeling. See you around guys. Live long and prosperous. Cheers. What does the Kleinons would say? Kapla.